So when, how, and why should you actually take a deload week? Now there's so many different scenarios, like being injured, hitting a plateau, whatever it may be. In this video, I'm gonna be talking about everything you need to know regarding how you should be doing a deload week, when you should do it, and why you should do it in the first place. But first, we're getting some pre-workout boba at Share Tea, and then we're gonna head to the gym. Let's go. All right, we're here at Share Tea. Here to get our pre-workout. Am I crazy for not getting milk in my tea? I'll make it work, man. Are you getting some?
Yeah, I kind of want like don't put a drink milk tea before we work out.
Came here during the Roni Rona a couple years ago when they first opened. I wrote my name somewhere here, but I don't think it's here anymore. Yeah, I don't think it's here anymore.
You remember what you wrote?
TylerPath was here. Oh, I found it.
No, I found it. Bro. Thank you, man.
Thanks, bro.
Appreciate it, bro. Of course.
All right, we got it. How and when you should deload really depends on a lot of like different contexts. So I'm gonna talk about 5 different scenarios where it makes sense to deload slightly differently once we get to the gym. All right, y'all, we're here, LA Fitness. So the first scenario I want to talk about is actually programming in your deload weeks into your program. So in general, they say you should be programming in deload weeks every 4 to 16 weeks. I personally think 4 weeks is like way too short of a time. If you feel like you need a deload week every 4 weeks, chances are your intensity is probably too high or maybe the volume's too much or something. For me personally, I think 8 to 12 weeks is a good sweet spot if I were to program in a deload week, which I do myself. We're gonna start with this machine press. Now, when it comes to deloading, in terms of volume, you essentially cut the volume in half. So if I'm normally doing 4 sets, I'm gonna reduce it to like 2 sets instead. And then in terms of the load, I like to decrease my weight by like roughly 15 to 30%. So let's say if I'm working with 75-pound dumbbells for incline dumbbell bench, I might reduce it to like around 60 pounds for that specific week and then cut the volume in half. Instead of doing 4 sets, I'll do 2 sets. Now, another way to do it is if you're already running a lower volume program, like let's say you only do like 2 sets to failure normally, right? What I would actually do is cut the volume in at the rep level. So if I normally do, again, 75 pounds, 2 sets of 10 on incline dumbbell bench, I would actually keep the sets at 2 sets instead of just doing 1 set, and then cut the rest from 10 down to like 5, 6, maybe even 7. And you don't necessarily even have to like cut the volume strictly in half, right? You can literally just go by sensation where once you start feeling tired, it's like, okay, I get to that point where my muscle's starting to burn, starting to feel uncomfortable. Maybe the weight is moving slower. Then you can take your foot off the gas and stop that set at that point. Essentially, you're still putting your body through the motions of lifting, but you're making things a little bit easier. So because the intensity is not going to be as high when you're deloading, you can take the opportunity to really focus on your form and hone it down. You should be doing this even when you're not deloading, but you can put even more specific attention to controlling the eccentric, making sure you're squeezing, you're really feeling the muscle you're working. Take it as almost like you're focusing on technique rather than actually pushing as hard as you can go. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put a 4-second tempo on the eccentric. I try to shoot for like 6 reps. All right, first exercise done. Let's move on to the second one. I forgot to bring water. Big mistake. I pretty much get like half my water intake when I work out too, so. Next 2 scenarios will be more reactionary. And the second scenario I want to talk about is when you feel like you might have like an injury coming where, you know that in-between phase where like you're not really sure if you're hurt, but you kind of feel that something's up? That is generally a pretty good sign to deload. Now, depending on whether the injury pre-injury, whatever you want to call it, is localized, let's say in the case of a bicep, maybe all you would need is just for one day is don't do any like biceps or even like back exercises, right? However, if the injury impacts a part of your body that's more like involved in a bunch of different movements, let's say a joint like elbow or like lower back even, in that scenario, maybe taking an entire day off and just skipping working out completely might be a better idea. So it really depends on a case-by-case basis where try laying it off for a day. However, if you're still feeling like, all right, I'm still like injured or I feel like I'm not fully healed, then you can take up to a week off of just like not even going to the gym. You're not gonna lose muscle by just skipping a week. That's way too short of a time. But yeah, that's the second scenario. Let's hit this lat pull down.
So many things in the room, but I still miss you. And I feel alone. So many things bad for you, and I'm on this list. But I would die for you many times, and I don't think you would too. Say I'm lost in the frame, and see my reflection. I don't wanna change, don't need a reason.
Third scenario I want to talk about is if you hit a plateau, then it might be a good idea to do a deload. Now by plateau, I'm mainly referring to like a strength plateau where let's say you're trying to increase your bench, but you haven't been able to progress either by adding weight, adding reps, or pretty much any movement for that matter. If you feel like your progress has stagnated and it's been like close to a month and you haven't really done a deload in like 2-3 months, then generally I find that a lot of people can benefit from like taking a total week deload. Pretty much you follow the protocol I outlined in scenario 1, and when you come back, you're gonna find that you feel more fresh and maybe you can finally start making progress. So if a lot of this stuff is pretty confusing for you, I don't blame you. It's a lot of information. So if you really don't know where to start and all you really want is like, Tyler, I just want a workout program, I want a meal plan, and I just want someone to guide me through my fitness goals. That scenario, I highly recommend you apply for my one-on-one fitness coaching program. Essentially, if you are accepted, we're gonna hop on a call together. I'm gonna go over your goals, create a custom workout program and meal plan just for you, based on your needs, and you'll have access to ask me pretty much any questions you have. So if that sounds interesting to you, check the link in the description and apply now. Spots are limited, so make sure you get to that. So now let's talk about scenarios where it doesn't make sense to actually do a deload. The fourth scenario is if you are a beginner. So if you're within your first year of lifting, you should be focusing more on perfecting your form and just getting in the habit of training in the first place. So generally, if you're doing things correctly, by focusing on technique, which is already like a whole beast in of itself, then you probably wouldn't even need a deload week to begin with. So that probably encompasses quite a number of you because you're still trying to figure out like what training to failure would actually even look like. Okay, let me hit this next set. What we're doing, Jeff Nippard made a video with Russell Orhe on this. We're doing like a rocking cable face away curl where basically we're trying to keep as much tension on our biceps as possible. Normally with a cable curl up here, there's like pretty much no tension because cable and forearms are parallel to each other. But if you bend down, you'll notice that we're pretty much reaching the peak resistance with the cable, which is shown between the angle of my forearm as well as the cables. So that's the idea behind that. All right, so since I'm deloading, I'm just messing around with this new machine that I've literally never used before. I'm not using it the conventional way. Ooh. Yeah, this actually feels really good. So, moving on to the fifth scenario where it does not make sense for you to deload. And honestly, this is a pretty bad scenario to be in, but it does not make sense to deload if you are not even training hard to begin with. It can be anyone. It could be a beginner. It can be someone that's been lifting for 10 years. If you're not training to the intensity that you should be training, then it doesn't really matter, because it's like you're kind of already deloading as is. In terms of how hard you should actually even be training in the first place, check out my video. I've made plenty of videos on intensity before. With that said, if you're training sufficiently close to failure and you're applying progressive overload over time, then you're doing things right. But if you're, if you're used to using a certain way and you're just kind of going through the motions, then yeah, it doesn't really matter if you deload or not, because intensity is not even like high enough to actually even warrant you deloading in the first place. So with that said, those are the 5 scenarios that make sense for you to deload. I'm sure there might be other minute scenarios, but I pretty much gave you a wide array of different ways to deload. So with that said, it's time to eat. All right, y'all. Wanted to eat healthy today, so we're back at Joy Teriyaki. Gonna eat some teriyaki. Honestly, I might just get spicy pork. Thanks, Tim, short for Timmy. Hello. Ready to eat. Dude, I crave this every so often, man. Don't sleep on this salad, guys.
Tell them what you got.
Oh yeah. So it's some spicy pork teriyaki. Tastes like Korean barbecue teriyaki. And then this is like a ginger side salad. So good, dude. Like literally, if you guys are bulking, cutting for that matter, I feel like you can make this work. Just don't eat all the rice. Yeah. Focus. But. So this will be really good meal prep. They give you a ton of food too, so you guys should learn this at home. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. I think you guys have a pretty good understanding of how to deload now. So good luck on your gains. And all I ask for is to like down below, like this video, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.